It is your Classic Metal Show right here on theclassicmetalshow.com. And, of course, from the Jugulator release, the closer of the album, and just a fucking kick-ass tune, that is Cathedral Spires. For those of you that only want to hear Halford and don't want to give the Ripper era any love, you're a fucking idiot, to be honest. Because, my God, Jugulator was an awesome record, and Cathedral Spires is probably the best tune on that record. So make sure you already get that one if you haven't already, or you go get it if you haven't already gotten it, because God damn it, that's a good record. It is Chris Aiken. I am sitting solo tonight. Neely is out and about at the Warriors of Metal show, and I'm told that here in a couple of minutes, speaking of mighty singers, the mighty James Rivera of Helstar will be calling in. He's out with Neely at the Warriors of Metal show, and we'll check in with James, see what he's got going on here in a couple of minutes. Like I just said, we just played some Judas Priest in there. What else did we play? Shit, I don't even remember. I was taking a bunch of requests and kind of mixing them all in there, and it got a little weird there. We did Warrior Soul with Ass Kickin' Rock and Roll. We did Lips and Hips, the Electric Boys tune. And we did something from my personal buddies and our friends as a CMS family, the mighty 33 Love Child doing the Can't You See tune. Just fucking cool. And anytime the chicks in the chat room are saying that they'd be throwing panties, I like it. I might have to mix that song in more and more often. I might have to tell Neely that that song needs to be played like every week, especially if there's going to be wet panties thrown at screens. You know, 'cause all of you have cameras. You can take pictures of that shit for me. Because I'm just dirty perverted enough to want that. So yeah, that's what we're doing tonight. Hopefully you guys are digging what we're doing so far. I know I'm playing a lot of music. I definitely will be taking calls and we'll be telling stories and whatnot shortly. You know, we've got this Todd Latore interview coming up in a little bit, and once that's done, then we will go from there. But looks like we got a call right now. Hail and kill, caller. You are on the air.
Hey, what's up, partner?
James Rivera. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great, dude. How are you, man?
Awesome, brother. Good to speak to you, man. I haven't talked to you in a little while now.
Yeah, I know, and I'm going full force with a kind of a Canton-Akron band now based here, so I'll be up in this area quite a bit.
Awesome, dude. So dude,
yeah.
Catch everybody up with what you're doing, man. Last thing that I heard was you put out the 30 Years of Hell, the Helstar release, but you're not doing Helstar this weekend. You're doing what, the James Rivera Band?
Right. Helstar is actually writing the new record.
Okay.
We're about 75% done with it, and then it's going to come out in February of 2014. And then we have a tour planned for Europe. But in the meantime, I got together with some people that I've been working with through labels and all that, and we decided the best thing for James Rivera to do is just do his own thing instead of joining all these bands, because, you know, when I join these bands, it's their world in it.
Right.
Although I always bring 150% to it, it's not my fault that things don't work out.
Sure.
And it looks bad on my end because it's like, oh, he's always in and out of bands. But that's really not the case. Because if you think about it, Helstar's been around for 30 years.
Right, sure.
So obviously you're doing something right in that camp. Mm-hmm. So now the whole thing is for James Rivera to do his own thing aside of Helstar so that I can tour more, because Helstar's limited to their time of touring.
Sure.
And, 3-4 weeks a year is about all they got.
Okay.
And so James Rivera is going to tour the rest of the time.
Okay.
And I'm going to write original music, and it's gonna be metal, so no one's gonna be upset about it. You're gonna hear it, you're gonna love it. So like what I did last night here, and that's kind of what's happening now.
Sure. Now, with the vast number of projects that you have been in, will you incorporate all of that stuff into the live shows?
Taking back the Destiny's End, Seven Witches, Distant Thunder,
Vicious Rumors,
Malice,
right?
Killing Machine, all these bands. Yeah, and I've always expected the best for these bands, but at the end of the day, you know, when they have like loose screws, what are you supposed to do?
Right.
You know, I mean, it's not my fault. So I'm like, all right. And it was kind of basically brought to the table from the label that I'm going to be dealing with, which is SPV.
Okay.
And the guy said, look, man, you just need to do James Rivera because you're well known. You've done all this. We know you worked your ass off. And this way, no matter who's in and out of the band, it's always going to be just James Rivera.
Sure.
And you don't have to be like, joining these bands and quitting and all that stuff, or you know, or things fall apart. And I agree. I was finally like, all right, because I always thought it was egotistical for me to just walk out and go, well, I'm doing my solo thing.
Right.
But, you know, and never, and the Helstar guys are going to help me write most of the material.
Okay.
They're all behind it.
Sure.
They want me to succeed and tour.
Now, are there permanent players in this band, or is it going to be revolving based on individual time?
For America, I'm going to have 2 chapters. I'm going to have an American one and a European one.
Okay.
And that's going to make a lot of sense because that way when I go to Europe, there's one band based there and there's one band based here.
Okay.
And I pretty much made up my mind as after last night. Yeah, I pretty much made up my mind who the James Rivera Band is going to be here.
Oh, nice. So I take it the gig went well.
Yes, it went very well. So I'm going to be part of Ohio for, you know what, before you know it.
So are you going to move out here at least for a little while, or what are you going to
do? I'll come back, but you may as well call me Ohio Texan.
Very cool, dude. Well, dude, answer me this because I'm so curious on the business side of it these days. You know, that's kind of I don't want to say a risk, but it's definitely a ballsy move by SPV to not kind of force you into using your moneymaker, which would be Helstar. You know, the name Helstar, the brand Helstar. I mean, that would obviously probably do more financial, at least first, immediately, than the James Rivera Band. What was it that SPV brought to you where they really were, you know, okay with doing just a James Rivera project?
Well, it's because Malice was the band signed to SPV.
Okay.
Helstar's not signed to SPV. Helstar is signed to AFM.
Okay.
Malice has been signed to SPV. And because the Malice thing fell through the cracks because of, you know, I can't even really get into this publicly because I wouldn't. Sure. But one of the main members is in a lot of trouble.
Okay.
And he's not going to be around for a long time.
Oh, boy.
Let's just put it that way. And because of that, and since I was already signed to SVD through Malice, that's why this is happening.
Okay. Very
Because
cool.
it's like, in other words, it's time for you to just do your own thing.
Sure.
Stop trying to help out these bands that, you know, that have done something before, and they're not this, they're not that. And you know what? It's better for you to just go on your own now.
Sure.
And that's, I agree.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, yeah, you're right.
And one of the unique things about you specifically, is you are such a recognizable guy. I mean, I would think that if anybody listened to the Malice records and, you know, the Malice stuff that you did, or the Vicious Rumors record that you did, or Seven Witches, you're easy to identify. The band may not be as easy to identify as you, right?
Right. So, I mean, you know, that's kind of why everything's happening the way it is.
Sure.
You know, I mean, it's like, yeah, I did the Seven Witches, I did the Vicious Rumors record. You know, when you hear me sing, you know it's me. Mm-hmm. Kind of like, you know, it's an identity. Sure. And I think that, you know, after that meeting I had with the guy at SPD, I was like, hey, you know, once we come to an agreement, then, you know, we're going to get this thing going. But, I mean, he touched it right on the nail. He said, dude, you just need to do your own thing.
Sure.
Besides Helstar. And Helstar is going to be, you know, still number one in my life.
Mm-hmm.
But, like I said, they're limited to what they can do as far as touring.
Right.
You know, I can't survive on just 3 months of touring. I need to tour 8 months out of the year.
Right.
So I'll keep doing James Rivera, Sabbath to the Sabbath, whatever it takes to get out there and keep playing metal.
Absolutely.
And I love it.
Hey, can't argue that, dude. Dude, somehow, no matter how hard I try, I can't picture you sitting in front of a computer screen with a little headset on taking calls.
And actually, I do have a job selling advertisement spaces for 2 websites when I'm not doing music, and I fucking hate it. But I do it just because it pays the bills.
Right.
But no, normally I want to be out singing, traveling, and do what I do best. that's me. You
Sure.
know, that's what I want to do.
Absolutely, man. Now, dude, you mentioned Sabbath, Judas Sabbath. Where does that project stand now? Because I know I mean, it's obviously not your main project, but it is such a cool project.
Well, you know what? As a matter of fact, Chris, it's kind of my main project because it's the band that keeps me busier between Helstar and James Rivera. And Sabbath, Judas Sabbath has 6 chapters in America, and now 3 in Europe.
Wow.
1 from Slovenia, 1 from Germany, and 1 in the UK now. So I'm expanding. And SJS Europe just got picked up by ADL Management, who used to manage Paul Diano and Blaze Bailey.
Okay.
And booked him. So now I'm going to expand, and I'm going to be doing a lot of SJS shows in Europe.
Sure. Now, James, that actually seems to be somewhat of a newer trend where guys are having, various bands in various parts of the country. The other guy that comes immediately to mind is Ripper Owens, does a very similar thing where he has his Hail band and he has a couple of different bands that are incarnations of things that he does in various parts of the world. It sounds like you're doing the same thing. Is that just strictly you see the business aspect of it as solid, or is it because you like to work with different musicians, or a little of both, or what?
It's a combination of both, Chris. It's very economical, but at the same time, you get to play with great musicians, great people, and every band is just as good as the other.
Okay.
One question that I've always hated is like, oh, which one is your favorite band?
Sure.
You can't answer that question, man. That just doesn't even register in my mind.
Right.
It's just every band is good. Every band is just as good as the other. But, yes, it is very economical for me to fly in, do a territory, and fly out.
Sure.
And that's what really keeps the wheels rolling. And every band is already aware of the fact that that's how it is.
Right.
And as long as they're paid, they're happy.
Sure.
And I'm happy. Because, at the end of the day, it all comes down to, like, all right, my rent is due, my mortgage is due, my car note is due, cats need new litter, cats need food.
Right.
And everything makes sense at the end of the day.
Sure.
And that's why, I chose to go down this path, because it makes sense for me.
Definitely. Now, let me ask you a question that has nothing to do with anything you're involved in, other than the fact that you like this band, are one of those thrash metal pioneers. It's no secret, it's big news that Jeff Hanneman from Slayer passed away recently, and there's a lot of controversy out there about should this band continue, because Jeff was such an influential, not only player but writer in the band. I'm curious, as a fellow thrash guy, that literally y'all came up together. You, Slayer, Metallica, Megadeth.
The answer is no.
You think they should continue or not continue?
That's what you're going to ask me. My answer is no. That Gary King should just start another band with all these other guys and not call it Slayer no more.
Okay.
That's my honest opinion.
Right. Definitely.
To be honest, come on, dude. It's like you can only lose so many of the real guys. And you can't just, I don't know. Why do you think that I waited for so long to do Helstar again?
Sure.
Because I always said Helstar cannot be Helstar without me and Larry Berrigan.
Right.
I always did shows under the name.
Mm-hmm.
I went out there and I toured under the name, but I never recorded a record without Larry.
Sure.
Because that is Helstar.
Mm-hmm.
You understand?
Yeah.
So now we're back together.
Right.
And we're creating, every album is getting better and better, and the new album is going to blow everybody fucking away. I can tell you that right now.
Nice.
Because it's 75% done, and I'm sitting there going like, It's an Nosferatu meets Glory of Chaos.
Right.
And
Awesome.
we had an instrumental on the album, which is what I was very adamant about. I said, I want an instrumental in this next record.
Okay.
Because Helstar's always been known as a musical band.
Sure.
And Jeff Loomis is involved in it.
Oh, no kidding. Wow.
So, you see where I'm going?
Sure.
But never did I do a Helstar record on label or recordings without Larry Berrigan.
Very cool.
And I will never do it without him.
You've kept the integrity, and that's what's kept the integrity of Helstar through all this time.
Exactly. That's what I said last night. why is it that Helstar's been together for 30 years? Because we're obviously doing something right. So I did a couple albums with Seven Witches. I did a couple albums with this. I did Destiny's End. I tried it, but it didn't work. And it didn't work in my favor, although I put 200% into it.
Sure.
But why is Helstar still together? Because we have the working chemistry of how it should work. Definitely. And we're all on the same page of the book every time we do things together.
Definitely, man. Well, dude, it sounds like there's a lot of good stuff coming. I'll tell you what, man. Where can people go to find out what you're doing and, you know, Helstar and all these projects? What
right now? They can go to Helstar. They can go to HelstarMetal.com, which is the official Helstar site, or you can go to James Rivera Facebook, and you'll find everything I'm doing with Sabbath, Judas Sabbath, whatever I'm doing.
Okay.
You'll find my dates where I'm going back to Europe next month.
Cool.
And I'm doing 15 shows for Sabbath, Judas Sabbath. I'm actually even playing the metal, what used to be called Metal Camp in Slovenia, but it's called Metal Days now. And my tour starts there. And I'm staying in Europe for a month doing a bunch of Sabbath, Judas Sabbath shows.
Awesome, dude.
And, and then September I start doing the vocals for the Helstar record. And then October it's done. We deliver it. And then 2014, at the end of February, look for the new Helstar record. It's going to be full of wickedness.
Very cool. Well, geez, dude, I can't believe that I'm actually talking to you and you're busy. When are you?
Yeah, I'm laying off, right?
Dude,
when is a comfortable car with air conditioning?
Dude, when is the last time you took a vacation, like 6 months, where you did not record or tour?
You know what my vacation was? 70,000 tons of metal. That was my vacation.
Very nice.
And I was so hungover, I didn't even get to go to the island.
Nice.
I stayed in my cabin, throwing up all fucking night. Because I got seasickness too, I think.
Yeah, sure. Seasick from that Grey Goose.
Yeah, it's called Jägermeister. It's a German thing, you know. Dude, those guys know what they're doing.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, dude. Why don't we go ahead and end this with a little bit of Helstar? I was thinking I would play Tyrannicide just because that's probably my favorite tune.
Do it. You know? Do it, man. Fuck yeah.
All right. Well, James, thanks for calling in, and we will check it out right now. This is Tyrannicide. It is Helstar from Sins of the Past right here on your Classic Metal Show.